What's going on, everybody? Charlie says breaker, breaker. Got this big bad boy done, guys. Woo! A lot of switches. A lot of wires. Oh, yeah. All right. 800 amp power supply. Plus. Normally this chassis I have 6 switches in here. I had to add one. Which was nice because the way I laid it out I could make it so I could add switches if I needed to, or make them disappear if I needed to. So I'm going to get into this a little bit. You are not going to see the inside of these power supplies. Only people that see them are the owners. Too much work, but the back end business, kind of cool. See if I can see my fuses. All the red caps are 20 amp fuses. Got one blue cap over there. It's 15 amp. That's all the fuses in the back. And it starts with the blue one at number 1, and it goes opposite direction if you were reading. Also has a radio jack in the back. Plug a radio in off of it. And ground bolt, positive bolt. And then air holes. Good size unit, good fan in it. It's 20 42 amp modules in here, 20 of them. So, like I always wire them up. Hit the first switch, voltmeter and the amp meter will come on. If that's shut off, the amp meter will not come on. It's tied in with the first switch. It's always like that. So, you come over here and hit any switch you like, you can start it. But until you hit that first switch, the amp meter won't come on. But that is actually set up for 2 modules. After that, it's 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So I got 2 modules on the first switch, and all the rest of them are tied in there at 3. So, people say, man, why you put all of those switches on your power supplies, Danny? Because I don't like putting all my eggs in one basket and depend on a contactor, which the contactor's not going to fail. Isn't that right, Molly? You're a pretty good contactor, aren't you? You contact Zip. He might be needed here soon. All right, so going back to why I put all these switches in here, it's simply because if you have, let's say, 20 modules in this power supply, and all 20 of those modules are tied together and they're all carried over to a big contactor. When you turn on the AC voltage, it makes contact and it works. Convenient. Buy a contactor, got 1 switch. You don't even need a big one. Convenient. The inconvenience is if at any point if that unit was wired that way, guess what? You lose 1 module, you lose the entire power supply. Everything goes out. That's kind of a bad, shady deal right there. If you lose 1 unit on here, guess what? That switch is just dead. All right, so what? You blew that fuse. You still got all these fuses. All these switches you can use, and you still run your equipment. So at any point, if you don't need all this power supply, you just start shutting them off. You know, what is it? Each one's about 120 amps or so. 42 times 3. All right, setting at 15.7. So it all falls down to what you need. So there's 300 in, I don't know, 40, 30, 300, 120, 122, 300 amps. Okay, so enough of that. Let's turn the dial. This is exciting. All right, so I'm going to try to take and get both of them in there. Well, I'm going to have to bounce, I guess, but just a reference, really. Now, I'm using the clamps that came on this, and I was questioning them. They're very strong. They're brass, and they're strong, but I was concerned. I thought I was going to have to cut my cables and actually put eye bolts on there for I could bolt it to my power supply, but not necessary. Seemed to work. So we'll just throw a carrier. Got a little carrier going on, 130, 139, holding volts, 140. Cool. All right. See, that's how we talk. You throw a carrier. Then you say, audio 1212. See that 600? Audio 300. See what I'm saying? Oh, 913 amps. See what happened to the voltage when I did that. 1,000 amp shunt in here. 13 volts, 880. Woo, smell the heat come off this thing now. It's not very exciting testing a power supply, guys. It really isn't. But putting a carbon pile load tester on there, that's a good one. It's 1,000 amp. I purchased it. I didn't make it. Great load tester right there. And I don't get to use it too often these days because a lot of guys are building power supplies, and good, more power to you. The more you learn about these things, the better you are. But safety, 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 safety first if you're building something that plugs into someone's house. Now, mind you, on this cord is approximately 7 foot long. Then I got that tied to an extension cord that's about 10 foot long, plugged into my wall. So I may have a little line drop there, but where it's going, the dude's going to have plenty of voltage. Plenty of voltage to run this. So, like I said, not super exciting to take and do a power supply. And I really wish I could show you guys the inside of this thing. It is a piece of art, but the way I put things together, I do not want to share it. I don't want to show it. And if you own one of my power supplies, I appreciate it. As you guys keep up with that, don't show your neighbors, don't take pictures of them and post them on the internet. Thank you. I have a certain way I put things together inside these things, and I've kept it a secret for many years. Well, with that said, let's turn the knob some more. Let's just watch these two. Three, 6, holding that voltage. There's a dip. 15.2, I hit 800 something. Woo-wee. Smell that carbon pile. Let's see what this meter says. See if we can make it turn. There you go. That's 900 amps. This is making more noise than this. You can't even hear this. Not over that fan. Let me unplug this. That's all you hear. I'm right on it. It's quiet. Nice little unit. Not a whole lot to say. Let's just do a Bud Light commercial. This Bud Light's, thank you, Snake out of the Bayou. This Bud's for you. Man's man, eat some Jack Link's original beef jerky. I had to go to Menards today. I bought some wire. Bought 200 feet. 16 gauge, no, 12 gauge. Stranded. $100 a roll. Like, oh Lord, that was expensive. What happened here? What happened here? Look at that. Menards. $238. Some wire and some beef jerky. And some washers. I got some nice wire. Look at that. There you have it. Got a leak in the basement. It's been raining all day today. It's been rough. So, going back to the safety side of these power supplies, I'm gonna kick this thing down real quick. These cables are nice and warm. There's a lot of folks out there building stuff, and thank goodness they're not making too large of equipment, but even a small piece of equipment, if it's not built properly, it could cause a house fire. And the safety side of things go out the window when that happens. Hold on a second. It was about 58 pounds to 62 pounds or so. Took my finger out. About 62 pounds. That supply. It's not light. It's not too heavy. It's just kind of awkward. But the safety side of when you guys are building supplies are definitely in the fuse holders. Make sure they're tight. Make sure your fuses are making good contact, because they can arc inside the shell. That could actually cause a small internal fire, actually. So unless you're buying super good, expensive fuse holders, these came from China. You just have to understand how to deal with them. You just have to make sure that fuse is in there nice and tight. So on the other side, on the inside, the tensioning spring, it pushes out. That's the side where the wire is hooked up to. And as long as that's got good outward pressure to it, then that fuse is making a good contact. If you get a poor contact on a fuse, I'm getting a little power outage over here. Not from this stuff on the storm outside. But if the fuse isn't making a good contact, then that bank of power supplies isn't going to work properly. It's surging for energy, and it's arcing or whatnot. But fuses. So I had a few people in the past say, "Hey, I have a problem with maybe my switch is out, this and that." I told them to check the fuse in the back, and they realized their cap was loose, wasn't tight all the way. Who knows how it happened? Maybe they're checking something, forgot to tighten it up. I don't know. It's normally a lot of time it's customer error on this stuff. But as far as when I put in my fuse holders, in the cap, there's a tensioning spring. And you can take the tensioning spring out, and basically it looks like a U, and it holds the fuse in place. I take that out of each cap, and then I take a small piece of 14 gauge solid wire and cut a little snip off and put it at the bottom of the cap, and I reinstall that tensioning cap, and then I put the fuse in. That way it gives me that little bit of forward push to know that I got a good solid connection on my fuse from the cap to the front where the wire would hook up. So it's really important. That is kind of quote unquote a safety thing. If you're using parts and you're thinking, boy, that cap screwed on really easy, that guess what? If it's doing that and has no resistance, typically your fuse is in there loose, and you're going to have a poor connection, and the piece of equipment won't work properly no matter who builds it. So that's just that side of it. Another side of this is the safety side of these cords. Now, I see it so often where someone has a nice slew cord, real nice, is a 10 gauge, and they have a nice plug, and they put the slew cord in the back end of the plug, and guess what? The plug hole's a little bit bigger than the cord. So use your head. The amount of material you cut off to put in here to wire up these 3 prongs is, I don't know, about that long, okay? Take and cut it, put it on the outside of it, and if you don't have shrink tube, that's okay, just slide it over there, lock down the clamp, and at least your slew cord is going to be secured to this head. You don't want those wires moving around. You don't want to see frayed wires coming out here, because someone could get hurt. Kids, women, dumb people, okay, in general, if it's a male. But electricity will get you, man, and it's not going to fare for you too well. So there's the back end of it. Now the radio jack, as you've seen on the front of the power supply, I was pulling, right around 15.7 volts. And the radio jack is not on 15.7 volts. It's on a lower voltage. I use a dropping diode on it. And that's something yet I have to do a little bit more testing on and see if I need 1 or 2. I normally put 1. It'll be fine. The radio will get volted a little bit. So the radio might show up. You plug this in. If you were to measure this radio jack just with a lead, it's going to show you almost exactly but 1 volt lower, or 1/10 of a volt or so lower than the front of the meter. But as soon as you plug wire in here and plug it into a radio, the voltage immediately drops. Then you turn on the radio, the voltage drops again. Then when you key up the radio, guess what? It will drop a little bit more. So, and also as you draw, if you ever take and draw the current or voltage too much on this unit running your amplifier and your radio's plugged into it, guess what? The voltage on everything's going to be dropping. So that means that'll drop too. This is set up to run a radio, the guy's driver, and his big box, 32 pill, 48 pill, somewhere in there. Can you run a 64 off of this? Probably not. I would not suggest it unless you plan on just loafing it. But easily up to a 48 pill. I know guys that run 24 pills on 360 amp power supplies in Hawaii, and I think they're crazy, but they've been doing it for a long time. But that's all they're running on it. So, but originally when I hooked up to 360 amp power supplies, I set them up and designed them for you could run what? A radio, a 5-pill driver, and a 16 pill. So in essence, that's right shy of 24 pills, or right a little bit above 24 pills. So either way, 16, 21 pills. So a little bit under it, add a radio, there you go. But this unit here, easily take 5 pill, hook it up to it, run your 32 pill or up to a 48 pill. I wouldn't really try to put a whole lot more than 60 pills on this power supply. But it is what it is. I don't think the guy's got that kind of equipment because I build his amplifiers for him. So, in fact, I know he don't have that size of an amplifier DC. There you have it. 1-800 amp plus power supply. There's the back end of it. There's a little bit of talk about power cord, fuses, switches, why I don't use a contactor. I think I covered it. It's got a filter grill in the back, so you pop the grill off over time, clean out the filter, put it back on. You may have to trim it a little bit. Molly, what you think? Come here. Zip's not even down here, man. He's hanging out with Mom. Huh, you a good girl? You like hanging out with your papa, don't you? You're a good girl. You gonna shake for me? No? You wanna go eat something? You wanna go eat? You hungry? You wanna go? Oh, she's gone. All right, guys, take care. I'm sliding to the left. It's Sunday Fun Day, 800 amp power supply done. This is going to take a whole day for me to pack this booger before I can ship it. So, y'all take care. I'm out of here.